Welcome to Neeks Sports Fans Q&A, where your questions will be answered. I'm going to go straight into it, Ramon. Spurs. Title challenges. We don't say that often, and Spurs fans are loving it. And we've got a question from a Spurs fan, ardent Spurs fan, Abayomi. He says, the squad with the youngest average age, the defence that conceded the fewest goals, the attack scored, he's reading off all the stats, you know. The attack scored the most goals and possibly about to achieve their highest ever Premier League finish. Has Pochettino transformed Tottenham from one that struggles for 4th or 5th spot at best to serious title contenders? Or is this just a fluke?
He has this season. Like, you can't deny him. You've got to give Spurs credit where it's due. They have done it this season, but going forward, I don't know if they're going to be challenging again for another 5, 6, 7 years until, Norwich come and do it at some point. Then I think,
But that's what the next question from Rowan. He says, will Spurs have a chance next season, or is it just going to be a Liverpool? They just fall from here on in.
They might make, but I think they're going to be playing Champions League football next season. I think they got to realise what their priority is going to be, because if they want to progress in Champions League and still challenge for the title, it's not really going to happen. Then they need to be honest with themselves. But also, you have to realise Spurs bottled it. They could have won the league, but they bottled it. Like, that's the real truth of it, Spurs fan. You bottled it.
That question was asked on the radio, and they said, have Spurs failed this season, because they had the chance to close the gap, and Leicester are ahead of them. If you finish above Man United, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, you should win the title. Personally, I don't think they bottled it. I know you're coming from an Arsenal fan. I think Tottenham will be challenging for titles in the future. New stadium, young players, young manager. As long as they can, keep your team together, and I think they can do big things. Kane, Ali, that's a world-class talent right there.
Doubt it very much.
Next question from Nathaniel says, does Leicester's sudden rise make the Premier League an easy league? That question will go on forever. You're talking about which league is better than the other. The Premier League is the most exciting league. I think that is undoubted. Even people outside of England will say the same thing. Does it make an easy league? No. I think Leicester are deserved where they are. They've capitalised on the poor performances of the so-called bigger teams. Yeah. I don't know if this will be sustained, especially from Leicester. So it's a one-off season. It happens. It happened with Nottingham Forest years ago. It's happened this season with Leicester. It's happened in Germany with Kaiserslautern. But I wouldn't say that it makes the Premier League an easy league. I think it makes an exciting league. Next question from Meron says, who will stay up? Say Newcastle. He's definitely a Newcastle fan from that. Who will stay up, Roman?
The big question, it's the big question, who will stay up. I think, unfortunately, for Meron and those Newcastle fans out there, I think you might just not make it. And the reason is Big Sam. Big Sam never goes down. You can't get rid of Big Sam. He's going to stay. Stanley's going to stay up. He'll move on to Burnley or whoever comes up next year and keep them up as well.
Big Sam knows what he's not a mug. He's not a mug. He's not a mug. He showed that last week with Sunderland. He's not against Arsenal. He's not a mug. Another question from Nathaniel says, do you think Klopp has improved Liverpool's style of play?
Yes, at the moment, because they're doing well. But, a few months ago when they weren't doing well and they were dropping, how are you going to concede 4 goals against Norwich? All right, you got away with it in the end. But, it wasn't great. And, they're on a good run at the moment and they're doing well. Give them credit. But it's now, We'll have to wait and see what happens next year when they finish 7th again. And you're thinking, well, hold on, it's supposed to be a Champions League challenging team. And we'll always have to see. But I don't think he's changed that much to Brendan Rodgers what was doing there.
All right. Question from Peds. And I'm going to link this one to another question. It says, who do you think Arsenal should sign this summer to try and compete for the league next season? And what players would you like to see in the Premier League? Maybe Zlatan. We've heard about those kind of rumours. I think Zlatan would suit in the Premier League. He does it in every league he goes to. Which big teams are going to take, you could say, a risk. He's 34 years old. He's going to have high wages. Fair enough, it's a free transfer. But I'll be surprised if one of the big teams really take that risk going forward, when a lot of the teams now and the managers, they're focusing more on young players. Tottenham, Louis van Gaal, Manchester United. So I would like to see big players in the Premier League. Hummels, for example, would have been a big player, but he's talking about going to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Gundogan's going to be going to Man City if we believe the rumours. So those kind of players, I think, will definitely improve the level of the Premier League and help the teams continue to challenge in Europe as Man City have done this season.
Yeah.
Arsenal, who do you think they need to sign?
Well, I mean, I've said it before. I think they need another striker. They need a striker that's going to better what Giroud, Welbeck, and Walcott didn't do this season. And I think they're going to probably need another brilliant centre back. I mean, Koscielny's kind of carrying the other two at the moment. And I think once they get that, but to be honest, I think Arsenal's struggle is mentality. They need to understand that you can have the greatest team in the world, but if your mental strength isn't there, you're never going to win nothing. So, yeah.
Question from Nick says, who will be the 2016 Ballon d'Or winner? The best individual, in his opinion, last year was Ronaldo, but Messi won. Is the best this year Suarez, but will Ronaldo win it if he wins the Champions League? It's a long way away. A long way away. Me, I've always liked to go for the player who has an individual record better than the majority, if not all, but also one that wins something, because your individual performance for me means nothing if it doesn't result in success. So if Ronaldo was to score 50 goals and Suarez scored 55, but Suarez ended the season empty-handed, I don't think he's the best player, because his goals counted for nothing compared to Ronaldo's 50.
I think we've always disagreed on this point, because I'm the opposite. I think it's about an individual player. It's not about the team. So if you can only shine what your team, if you shine so much and your team doesn't really do anything, that's not really your fault. You can only do what you can do, especially if you're playing. Say for example you're a right back, and all you can do is play your best, but your team's not doing anything. Then why should you not win the Ballon d'Or if your team doesn't? I think it's a hard one to do to say, but I know. Start of January, I said Suarez would win it. I think he will nick it this year.
Well, he's definitely on course. Final question, and this is from Yassin. He says, what's your favourite football match of all time and why?
Boy, I mean, there's loads for me. I'm just going to have to go with one of my all-time favourites, beating Spurs, winning the league at Spurs. I was there at White Hart Lane, and it's one of the best things that I've ever seen, because the Spurs fans are so vexed, Arsenal fans are so happy. So best ever game I've ever seen, boy.
For me, I'm gonna go a bit left wing. 2002 World Cup opening game, France against Senegal. Senegal won 1-0, Papa Boubidio. And at that moment, I realised, you know what? Football's a magical game, because how can you beat the world champions in your first ever World Cup? I said, the ball is round, anything can happen. Well, again, let us know what you think. What's your favourite game? What's your favourite football match you've ever been to? What's your favourite game you've seen on TV? Do you think that Suarez should win the Ballon d'Or regardless of whether he wins the Champions League, which is not the Premier, the La Liga? Do you think it counts as individual performance, or is it about what you do with your team? Let us know. Do you think Tottenham can sustain this in years to come? That's it from Neeks Sports. Me and Ramon will see you next time.